Lakeside Dental Clinic, Go Island, is brought to you by Lakeside Dental Clinic.
We're feeling the energy and chaos that is a dress rehearsal for a cast of over 50 in a brand new musical called Moonbound. It's here at the Phoenix Auditorium at the Haven on Gabriola Island. An amazing resource during a very scary time for parents. It's more than a bucket list. It's about living life to the fullest, and can they beat the clock? Only time will tell. You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. This is only, I'm told, about 1/8 of the cast from a brand new musical, an out-of-this-world musical called Moonbound. Book and lyrics by Frank Moore and co-composed by Frank Moore and Tony Gradanti. We're going to get a sneak peek today as we spend some time at the Phoenix Auditorium, part of the Haven on Gabriola Island. But we're starting off with an amazing story about a young family whose worst nightmares were starting to come true. They received some help from the BC Children's Hospital. Here with more on that is Kelly Robinson. The 27th annual Miracle Weekend Telethon runs on Global BC. That's at the end of the month, May 31st and June 1st. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. An out-of-this-world musical called Moonbound, 10 years in the making. What's the backstory there, Frank?
Well, I was first commissioned to write this musical for a performing arts school back in 2002. And they also commissioned a composer at that time to write the music. But for various reasons, that never happened. So I ended up with, I thought, a pretty good book and lyrics for a musical and nothing to sing the lyrics to. However, I had made up little tunes in my head in order to write the lyrics. I've worked on 4 other musicals as a collaborator, and that's the only way I know how to write lyrics. So I went to Tony Gradanti, a friend of mine, and a guy who's I've worked with a lot in theater, and said, Tony, can you turn these little tunes of mine into real music? And that's what he's done. So we have a co-composer credit. And he's done also an amazing job on orchestrations for this production. So they actually sound like real theater music now. And
who's they? There's a lot of collaboration, and how many different performing arts groups and theater companies are working on this project?
Right, so this is under the name Over the Moon Theatricals, which is an umbrella name for Single Lane Entertainment, which is my private production company. Marigold Theater Productions, which is the company Mara Brenner on Gabriola runs, her dance school.
Okay.
And Headliners School of the Performing Arts in Nanaimo, which many people will know for their various musical theater productions with young people.
Right.
So in order to do this big scale musical, I had to sort of put together a production package that allowed us to have these big choruses. And that's how we've done it with Mara and Manda's schools, providing a lot of the people in the choral roles.
Now, for the insiders, we like the why and the what and the how. I think for the viewers, what are they going to see? What's the plot? What's the story?
Well, Moonbound is based on a H.G. Wells novel.
Which I haven't read, I realized.
No, actually, it's called First Man on the Moon, and it was not one of his more successful novels, to tell you the truth. I don't think anybody much has read it. But I thought it would make the basis for a good musical up to a point. I have to say I messed around a bit in the second act, but in order to make it much more comic and colorful than actually the original is. So H.G. Wells purists, stay away. But it has ended up being a pretty fun musical in the tradition of Wicked or The Wizard of Oz, about a Victorian scientist and a hard-nosed London businesswoman who unexpectedly travel to the moon.
Because of an invention?
Well, he invents anti-gravity paint, of course.
Okay, of course.
So they end up on the moon and they discover a civilization living on the surface, and then an even more amazing civilization underneath. So it's a combination adventure story, love story, and brings sort of the fun of both musicals and sci-fi to the stage. And I should say that our lead performers, Kathy McIntyre and Antonio Gradanti, are really seasoned pros. So I went out of my way in casting this to make sure it's going to be well sung, and it will be well sung.
Now, I don't know you to do anything in the box. You have to have a little bit of cutting edge, you have to have a little bit of deepness and thought to things that you do.
Right.
Is that applicable here?
Well, yeah, I mean, the musical is sort of about the desire to go to other places and take them over. And frankly, when I was writing it in the first instance, that's exactly what was happening in Afghanistan and Iraq. So there is a bit of a sub-theme for the adults about the folly of imperialism and deciding you know better for other people. So that the bad guy in the musical, Gibbs, wants to return to Earth, bring back, armies, and take over the moon.
If you want to know more, you got to come and see the show. We'll tell you how you can do that after a short break. Still to come today, the Before I Die art project in Oceanside, and Todd and Derek pass the blame for a chewed-up script.
Hi, my name's Ann Judson, and I'm a volunteer with BC Summer Games. Did you know that over 19 sports are going to be represented at this summer's Games? These sports include things like equestrian, golf, lacrosse, soccer, wrestling, and rugby, just to name a few. They're going to be held at different venues around the city, so check bcgames.org to find out the schedule of events.
That was an excerpt from Moonbound, the world premiere of which you can catch here at the Phoenix Auditorium at the Haven on Gabriola Island, May 23rd and 24th, before it moves over to the Malaspina Theatre at VIU at the campus there on June 6th, 7th, and 8th. You can get more information and tickets online, www.moonboundmusical.com. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. It might be a bucket list for some, but for the Oceanside Hospice, the Do Before I Die wall is a way to have a conversation and start a conversation about living life to the fullest. Here's Annette Lucas. The Oceanside Hospice is hosting its 17th annual golf tournament. That'll take place on August the 9th, and you can get full details on that event. I believe it's a 1:30 start in case you're planning that far ahead through their website, www.oceansidehospice.com. Antonio Grandanti, co-composer. Is that the correct term?
That's the correct term.
Now, I read that it was a little bit like working with someone from another planet, this experience with Frank.
Just dealing with Frank? Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, basically there's a musical language, and musicians are able to, say diminished chord, augmented chord, minor chord. There's certain terminology, but Frank doesn't have any of that.
Right.
So it was more in terms of brighter, darker, you know what I mean? So
which you'd think would be very challenging. But you said you enjoyed that process.
The energy that went behind it was just so alive. I'd call him up sometimes to say, Frank, I need a little bit of inspiration, just talk about the song, and away he'd go, and that was enough.
And where do you get, so the inspirations comes from the words on the book or from Frank's humming? I'm trying to put myself in a rehearsal or a process.
I was amazed at the depth. I mean, he says he's not musical, but I don't know, the depth of the melodies was just astounding, with key changes and timing changes, and it was all there. It just needed chords.
And how is it working with the kids? Because your music now are now going to have to be translated by the children in the show.
Right. Yeah, it's fantastic. Two of my girls are in this, so it's wonderful. Yeah, just to hang out and yeah, just get to spend time with them on a different level.
How many songs?
How many songs are they in?
Yeah, how many songs altogether in the show?
Oh, 21. Not full-length songs, but yeah, about 21 numbers.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Can't wait to see it. The world premiere of an out-of-this-world musical called Moonbound. It premieres here at the Phoenix Auditorium on Gabriola Island at the Haven, May 23rd, 24th. Moves over to Malaspina Theatre on the VIU campus in Nanaimo, June 6th, 7th, and 8th. I believe you can get more information, www.moonboundmusical.com. We'll be back with more after a short break.
What do you do when you're done with attempting something you figured must matter so much? What's a girl do when she thinks she's had enough?
That That was Kathy McIntyre performing Enough, one of many musical numbers in Moonbound that opens here at the Phoenix Auditorium at the Haven on Gabriola on May the 23rd. Kathy plays Ms. Dawson, a very hard-nosed businesswoman who's been working with a kind of a mad scientist, I guess, and somehow they end up on the moon. We're going to throw things over now to Todd Jones and Derek Johnstone. It's episode number 2, not that that means a lot to you, of Clocked, where they're trying to delve into some of Nanaimo's history that takes them maybe below the ground. They always have such a good time. We've been running with Clock now for over a year. If you have ideas on how to stump the boys, because I'm not very good at it apparently, you can send me your ideas to kate.bergen@sjrb.ca. That brings us to the end of this edition of Go Island. A final reminder that the world premiere of Moonbound takes place right here, Phoenix Auditorium at the Haven on Gabriola, May 23rd, 24th. Moves over to Malaspina, June 6th, 7th, and 8th. www.moonboundmusical.com. And we have a bit of a musical theme going on today. We're going to give away some tickets to a show that's coming up at the Port Theatre on Sunday, May the 25th. It's a West Coast Roots celebration featuring, get this lineup, featuring Neil Osborne, 5440, Daniel Lapp, May Moore, Doug Cox, and many, many others. There's a way for you musicians out there to get a super deal on tickets. It's put on by the Port Theatre, and you can visit theporttheatre.com for how to participate in the ticket deal and get more information about the show. Thanks for watching Go Island. Get out there, support the arts. This is what makes our community such a great place. We'll see you next time.
Lakeside Dental Clinic Go Island is brought to you by Lakeside Dental Clinic, a division of the Vancouver Island Implant Center, delivering dental services, including dental implants and sedation dentistry, all under one roof. Clothing supplied by Catwalk Fashions. Kate's Hair and Aesthetics provided by Maffeo Salon.